Hey everyone! Something that a lot of people have asked for and that I've wanted to do for a long time is a tutorial explaining how I use my favorite drawing program. To start this off, let me explain what tools I use to draw with. So, I have a laptop, not a desktop or like a phone or a tablet. I've never drawn with a phone or a tablet. So, if you want to know about like drawing apps, I'm the wrong person to ask. So I draw on a laptop, and then I have an XP Pen tablet, and it's a great tablet. I never did a tablet review on it, but let me tell you, this tablet has been fabulous. I got the really small, like 4x6 inch one because I have a small desk. And this thing is, I paid $40 for it. I think it's $50 now, but I've had it for like 2 or 3 years, and it's held up fabulously. I've dropped the pen like 400 times. They say not to drop the pen, and literally every time I'd get it out, I'd drop the pen. Like, I'm not even kidding. It got to be so bad that it was kind of hilarious because, there goes the pen again. But it's held up fabulously despite all my abuse, and my failed attempts to take good care of it. And then the programs that I use are Krita and sometimes Autodesk Sketchbook. I used to use Autodesk Sketchbook a lot more. I've pretty much completely moved to Krita. I don't use Autodesk at all anymore. I would recommend Autodesk Sketchbook as a wonderful beginner program because it's super intuitive, it's not very complicated, and it's got some pretty good features for a free program. And if you're trying to get into digital art and you open up a program and your brain goes, what even was that noise that came out of my mouth? Anyways, if you're just getting into digital art, Autodesk is a great program because for beginners it's just really easy to learn. But once I figured out the ropes of digital art programs, I was ready for something with a little bit more horsepower, so I shifted to Krita, and I have been really loving this program. It's a free program. It's actually put together by artists, I think. It's pretty awesome. Like, it's got a ton of features. It's free, which, hey, I'm all over that, right? And it's been working really well for me. So, to find Krita, all you have to do is type Krita in, and then it will pull up Krita's website, where you can download whatever version is made for your machine. They have for Macs and Windows PCs and stuff, and different, so you would download it and then install it, and then you would open it on your computer. I wanted to make that clear just to make sure that y'all would be able to find that, because I know that it's like, man, it's sure hard to find a good drawing program these days, right? Like, you Google it and you get 30,000 results. Anyways, so this is what my program looks like when I open it. I've forgotten what Krita defaults to, because I have changed the layout to what I want it to look like. And I'm going to go into that later, but basically, I picked whatever windows I wanted open that suited me and then put them where I wanted them. To move these windows around, you can just like click and drag the top, and you can put them wherever you want. Honestly, this program's pretty intuitive too. It just takes a little bit to get used to it. So I'm going to go from the top down and just explain the features of this program, and hopefully in the future I can do like a walkthrough tutorial where I show y'all what features I use as I draw a piece of art. But for now, I'm just going to explain the main features of the program to you. And hopefully this will help y'all. I'm not a self-proclaimed expert of this program. I don't know what all of the features do, because I'm completely self-taught. I've never seen a Krita tutorial myself, so I have no idea what some of these features do. But since I've gotten a lot of people asking for a Krita tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and I hope it helps you in one way or another. So up here you have one of the first toolbars. The File tab has things like New Canvas, Open a Previous Project, or, Previous Canvas. Most of this isn't important. There's the Save and Save As. These are obviously important. Export, also important. This stuff is for animation, which I'm definitely not going over today because that's a whole nother ballpark. And then there's these. Close, Close All, Quit. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. One thing I do want to say about Krita is that the image file so one thing I do want to say about Krita is that their work file is this one right here, KRA. That's like their project file that you want to save your projects in. However, when you're exporting, you're going to want to export to a PNG or a JPEG, and honestly, I always export to PNGs. I mean, obviously, it's up to you, whichever one you want to do. But yeah, the rest of that stuff I mostly ignore. Next is edit, undo, redo buttons. They have the cut and the copy buttons, and then I've never used these two, but if you're in the middle of a project and say you want to snag like a picture of the whole thing, you would select all and then click copy merged, and that copies all your layers together. If you just click copy, it copies whatever layer you're on. And I think it'll make sense. A lot of this stuff is kind of hard to understand. But once you, if you're interested in using the program, download it and fiddle with it while listening to this tutorial, I think, because some of this stuff isn't going to make sense until you actually get into the program and start using it. And at the same time, you could listen to this tutorial 40 times, you could find the best Krita tutorial ever, but at the same time, I feel like it's the only way to really cement the knowledge in your head is to really get in there yourself and test these things out. So if you're pasting in a reference image, you'd click paste into new image, and that turns it into another image up here. And then I don't really use much of the rest of this. This is view, how you see the program, and the only thing that I really ever do over here is canvas, and then I have to reset the zoom or the rotation sometimes, because sometimes when I'm clicking around I'll accidentally rotate the canvas, and then it's really hard to get it back. So if you ever accidentally rotate your canvas, you can just come right over here and fix that. For image, I don't use this a whole lot. The only thing that I might use would be the scale image to a new size, and then this is scaling your image up and down, so it changes the whole image, not just the pixelated size of the canvas. And then resize canvas changes the size of your canvas without messing with the size of your image, if that makes sense. And this is the layer tab. I don't use this one at all. Select, I don't use this one. I do select all quite a bit, but I use the hotkey for that. And by the way, hotkeys are y'all's best friends. Trust me, it's in your best interest to learn hotkeys. Control Z is undo. Control Y is usually redo, but in Krita it's not. So if you push Control Y, it does something funky to your canvas, and just don't do that. Control A is select all, Control S is save, Control C is copy, Control V is paste, Control X is cut. So learn those hotkeys, because trust me, those will save you lots of time. Deselect, that's this one. Deselect is very important because that is how you get rid of your selection, and trust me, the first time I got into a digital art program, I selected something, and then I was like, wait, how do I get it to go away? And I couldn't get the selection to go away, and it took me forever to figure it out, and I felt like an idiot when I found it. But anyways, deselect is important. Reselect is honestly awesome, because sometimes I'll select this perfect little area around line art or something, and then I'll deselect it because I think I'm done, and then I'll be like, oh shoot, I need that selection back. And so usually if you hit reselect, it will bring back the most recent selection that you had, if that makes sense. And then invert and selection is really great, because say you have this drawing that you've done line art for, you can select outside of the line art with fuzzy select, which I will explain in a bit. And then if you invert the selection, it'll select all the area inside the drawing. And this is one of those things that it makes more sense when you're using it, so I'm gonna try and show that to you when I do a walkthrough in a little bit more detail. These are all things you can do to your selection, growing and shrinking it, and they're all very self-explanatory. Just, mess with them, try them out. Filters, I rarely use these. I use blur sometimes, though. I haven't used most of the rest of these. Tools, this is I've never used this either. A lot of this stuff I don't use, and I don't know, maybe I'm not using the program to the full capacity, but I'm really happy with what I have figured out with it, so I'm kind of slowly gathering bits and pieces of more knowledge about the program, but I'm pretty happy with how I'm using it now. This is program settings. There's themes, and so I like the lighter themes. Some people like dark themes, which is fine. You pick whatever one you want. But yeah, I like it on the light theme. And that's all I've really ever used on this one. That's pretty much all I've used on this one. Window, this is pretty important because this is what your program looks like. So this is your workspace right here, and it's all the tools that I have out explaining like the color wheel and the overview and the layers, and there's different ones, like that's the animation one, and this is the default one. So this is, I guess, what it looks like when it comes, like when you first open it. But I fiddled around with it until I liked where everything was, and then I clicked new workspace, and then you just name it and save it, and then it will always appear in your workspaces. And so I cleverly named mine "use this" in all caps, because I knew that if I didn't name it that, I wouldn't be smart enough to find it again. And then this is the help, report bugs, handbook stuff. Every program has one of those, and I've never used it, thank the Lord, right? Like that's the tab you really don't want to have to use, right? Because that means your program is broken. So this means new, and then that will pull up this little thingy. You can type in your pixels here, and then you can click create. It is awesome. So I just created a canvas, and now I have all my stuff open. You can also open a previous project. So like you can see that this is KRA. So that is like a program file, and then this is an exported PNG. So, if you wanted to open one, you could pull it up. And you can have more than one project open at once, which some programs don't let you do that. And I really like that, because sometimes I'll need to have like reference images open or something. It's very helpful to be able to have several images open at once. This is the save, so that's like just a quick way to save something. Undo, redo buttons. Gradients, I haven't figured out how these work yet, so I'm not messing with that. This is how you can edit individual brush settings. So this is your brush library, and when you click on a brush, for instance, I use this brush to do my Nightwing wings, and I'll have to come over and I mess with the spacing so that it's less dense splatters, and spots and stuff. And this is all stuff that you're going to want to come in and like check it out for yourself, because I can tell you what I like to do with this program, but if you want to really realize the full potential of Krita and what it can offer to you, you have to come in here for yourself and figure out what works best for you. This button turns any brush into an eraser. So like you can make the airbrush an eraser, or you could make this one an eraser. If you need to erase things in a certain shape, and I know that kind of doesn't make sense, but trust me, it will whenever you run across the need to use that brush. This messes with the opacity of your brush. So like, for instance, this is 100% opacity, this is 50% opacity, and then you can kind of see how like, and then this is like 10% opacity. So that's always a very helpful feature, I find. And then this is the brush size. You can fiddle with the brush sizes here. And the nice thing about this is that your brushes will always default back to the right settings. So if I just get off this brush and then come back to it, it automatically goes back to the original settings. And I do believe you can turn that off, but I really like that because it helps me keep the brushes kind of close to where they work well, if that makes sense. So I do keep that around. So that's all these tools, and then I'm going to move down to both of my sidebars and kind of explain to you why I have these tools here and what they do. So on the left side of my screen, I have the advanced color selector, my kind of toolbox of, what options you have to use, my brushes, and Krita has some good brushes, y'all. Like, they got some stellar stuff. And then tool options, which is where I can fiddle with this stuff. And then I have these on two different tabs because I don't use this one much, so I kind of wanted it out of the way. So I think the advanced color wheel actually defaults to a triangle, which I did not like. And if you desire to change that, or if it gets messed up, because sometimes this is an evolving program. People are still coding it, I believe. Like, they're always making it better, as with most programs. And so every now and then you'll run across a glitch. Or actually, it could just be my computer, because my computers are really old, and it could just be like throwing me curveballs whenever it wants. Anyways, if your color wheel gets messed up, there's a little icon right here in the corner, and if you click that, that brings up all your color wheel options, including which color wheel you want. I prefer this one. It defaults to having like 3 lines of these shade selectors. I put that to as low as possible because I don't like those. And I like having my color history, which is this, where like here, I'll show you. When I use a color, it puts it into my color history. So if later I want to grab that color again, I can just go back and find it. And then you can just turn that on right here where you can add columns and stuff. So just check that and that turns it on. Yeah, so that's the color selector, and I put that right up here because that's where I wanted it. This is the toolbox of what your tool options are. This is the pen. This is like a line, square, circle, blah, 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 blah. This is multiple lines, and I will show you how this works. You just click, 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 click. And then it took me forever to figure this out, but to get it to actually, like, you can either tie the circle closed, or you can do it like this, and then you have to press enter. It took me a long time to figure out how to get that to work, actually, because I'm so smart. Anyways, that's what I use over here. This is text, by the way. I kind of skipped that, but that is the text thing, and it's a little bit complicated, and I kind of hate it. I don't really add text in my art in this program. If I have to add text, I usually handwrite it in because that's just easier. This is the transform tool. So if you have like an image you want to move around, you can do that. This is just moving it without transforming it. And this tool has actually several options. So if you click on a tool and go to tool options, that's where it gives you all the different things you can do. This is like, you can move that around. This is like a grid, and that's always really nice. This is more of a blur type thing, and those are all really nice features. And then this is your crop function, where you can just drag and then click enter to get whatever crop you want. This is a gradient. Again, haven't quite figured out how to get that to do what I want it to do when I want it to do it, so, you know. This is your color selector tool, so when you need to select a color, see, it just put me to whatever color was there. And honestly, I have that set as a hotkey on my tablet. So my tablet comes with 6 customizable hotkeys, and so I set one of those to the ink drop because I use that a lot, or the color picker. This is a bucket fill. If you like select something, you can bucket fill inside it. The bucket fill's great. I don't use it a whole lot, but yeah, I do use it from time to time. I don't know what these are. I know, right? Like, I sound so professional, and then like every other tool, it's like, yeah, I don't use this, and I have no idea what it does. So yeah, take my advice with a grain of salt, I guess. These are the select tools. That's a square one. This one does circles. This one does weird shapey things. Again, just press enter to get that to work. And then this is your Lasso Select, and let me tell you, the Lasso Select, that is pretty awesome. You can select whatever you want. Although I gotta say, Fuzzy Select is my favorite. So here, I will open an example to show you. Yeah, here we go. So say you just finished line art, and now you want to color inside the line art, but you don't want to color it in. You can Fuzzy Select outside the line art, and then invert your selection to bucket fill just that bit. So see how that works? Yeah. So and then usually you go under the layer and just fill it in below the line art. So with Fuzzy Select, you have a grow or shrink selection option, and let me show you why. If you have it on the default of 0, it selects kind of like a little bit outside the line art because that's just how the program works, and it's really complicated. But if you have it go in 1, it selects kind of inside it, so you don't have those annoying little prickles of color sticking out the opposite end of your art. So that's always nice. And then you can also select, do you want it to select only on the layer you're on or on all layers? And depending on what I'm using it for, I have used both of those in the past. They do have a select by color tool. It sucks. Not gonna lie, it doesn't do great unless your colors have huge contrast. I rarely use it. And then this is like your movement tool, and then this is your zoom in, zoom out tool. Yeah, I don't use those often because, again, I have hotkeys on that for my tablet. For this tool, the movement tool, I have that on my tablet. And then for the zoom in, zoom out, you can scroll down to zoom out and scroll up to zoom in if you have a mouse. And I do use my mouse when I draw a lot. I know some people who like use the mouse pad, but I actually despise mouse pads with a burning, fiery passion of rage. Yeah, I prefer to use a mouse. And then we have the brushes, which is over here. Now it defaults to this like all, but I went through the brushes and tested every single one of them until I found the ones that I really liked. And then I tagged them. So to tag one, you just right click it, assign to tag, and then I assign them all to a new tag, which I called frequent, because again, I'm a genius. And then I just keep it on this frequent tag, and that's like, I don't know, like 19 pens that I really like to use, or brushes. And in case anyone wants to use the brushes that I use, I will list those in the description. If you hover over a brush, its name comes up. And yeah, I use lots of them for lots of different things. Like this is my coloring brush. This is my line art brush. This is also sometimes a line art brush, and I use it to sketch sometimes too. I use this brush to sketch. I use this for like really thin lines. I have an airbrush. I have an eraser, speckles, more speckles, lots of speckles, blurry thingy, different pencils and like inking stuff. But yeah, the Krita has a really great brush selection with like a ton of brushes, and they have textures and stuff. I think you can even make custom ones, but honestly, I've never had the need to do that yet. The default brushes that Krita has been working so well for me. So that is my left toolbar. You can search through the brushes over here, but I've never had to do that because I found the ones that I liked, and then I put them all in a tag, so it'd be easy for me to keep track of them. So that's all for the left, and let's go on over to the right. I only have 2 over here. Actually, I have 3, but I've never used this, and I might as well get rid of it. But this is the overview, and this is honestly one of the reasons I moved to Krita, because this lets you see what's going on in the art piece while you're drawing it. So when you're zoomed in like this, adding these little bitty details, you can like see over here what they look like. And you can even click this little like blue outline square to kind of move around in your drawing. And I gotta say, y'all, the overview is one of my favorite things about this program. I really like being able to watch what I'm doing without having to zoom out. This is kind of a zoom in, zoom out tool. I don't really use it. I go over here and like you can fit page width, fit page, or you can click different zoom outs, or you can type in a specific one if you want. But yeah, I use this one and not that one. This one sets it back to like the default zoom, I think. I know, I've done it before. Sorry. This one sets it back to the default, for sure. This is a horizontal flip, and like a really quick one. It's awesome because sometimes when you're drawing, you want to horizontally flip it to make sure your proportions and posing is good. Because if it looks good from both angles, then you know it's probably solid. And then this is the rotation bar, and I despise it because when you accidentally click this little son of a gun, you can never get it back to the 0. It's so annoying, and I can't get rid of it. So when you do accidentally click that, and trust me, you will, you can just go to View, Canvas, Reset Canvas Rotation, and that one's a lifesaver, let me tell you. And then over down here I have my layers, so this is where you can add layers, duplicate layers, move layers up and down. I've never used this. And then there's different options for the layers right here. You can lock the layer, and that means you can't do anything. You can't screw with any colors, you can't touch it. It's like solid. And so if you have a layer that you want to make extra sure you don't mess up, you'd want to lock it like this. If you're just locking the layer so that you can color over it like this, so sometimes when I'm doing line art, I'll do all the line art in black, then I'll lock it and color all the line art blue or something. And so that's this button right here. I don't know what the little A does. Yeah, I'm a failure. This I is how you hide and unhide the layer. And then this is the opacity of your layer. I use that like when I'm doing shading and stuff, which I'll explain in more detail in a minute. And then this is your layer types. I have used most of these in the past, but I'm going to show you the couple most important ones and leave you to figure out the rest on your own because it's kind of difficult to explain these for someone as unexperienced as me. Inexperienced. I can't even use words today, y'all. This is normal. Very important one to know in case you lose it. This is overlay. So say you have this thingy and you're drawing a thingy and then you put it to overlay. See what it just did there? It kind of like did a thing. I know, I'm so good at explanations. I do overlay with line art sometimes. Like if I want the line art to kind of take on the color of what's beneath it, I'll sometimes have an overlay layer, and then on top of the overlay layer, I'll put like a 50% opacity normal layer, like a duplicate of the line art. And I'll go over that more in the Krita walkthrough tutorial that I want to do. Another one is multiply, and that one is like shading stuff. So then I'd lower the opacity. And honestly, you don't want to shade in black. I shade in colors. I'll even shade in like really bright colors sometimes, depending on what effect I want. So like I'll use red for like angry or scary, pinkish purple for like crazy weird stuff. Blue is a really good calm shading technique. So is green, not that green, but like a nice green. Yellow is like sickly bleh. Yeah, just experiment with the colors and they'll all give you different feelings, I think. And then there's the erase, which turns your layer into a layer that erases stuff. I don't use that a whole lot, but I did use it once the other day. So it exists. Lighten Luminosity. I've both used these at different times for lighting. Lighting is difficult. I've had to try many different things to get lighting techniques right, and I haven't quite figured it out. So it's one of those things that I'm still kind of figuring out right now. And then yeah, that's kind of what I use the most. So this is channels, and I don't use it because I have no idea what it is because I'm a self-taught artist. It didn't even occur to me when I found this program to like watch a tutorial. I just spent like 30 minutes suffering through teaching myself how to use it. Because yeah, that's smart. Down here I haven't really used any of this. This is kind of like your pixel size. So if you were to like crop it and you wanted to see what pixel size you had now, that's how you can do that. So yeah, that's all that I think I need to show you with the program. I'm sorry that was so rambly and like not professional at all, because in fact that is how I am as a person, and so anyone who watches my channel is just gonna have to get used to that and accept it, because that's how things are gonna be. Anyways, I will be doing more tutorials with Krita in the future, and going into more depth on features that you can use and art tips and stuff. This was just kind of a general overview of what features are available and what they do. Hopefully this helped anyone who's trying to find a program. Like, I remember when I was trying to get into digital art, I was just struggling to find a free program that could do something that I wanted. Because a lot of these free programs are meant for phones, and I had a laptop that I wanted to do it on a laptop, not a phone. I don't like working on my phone. So I was really I always struggled to find a program, but I found Krita and it works great. So if you are looking for a program for a computer, I 100% would recommend Krita, because it's got so many great features, and it's totally free, which is awesome, right? Because like, we all want to work for free. No, don't want to pay any money for anything, right? So yeah, I think that's all the knowledge that I can impart on you, my Padawans. So yeah, check out the tutorial playlist. I'll put a card in for it so you can see some of the other bleeding heart tutorials that I've somehow managed to come up with. And hopefully in the future, I can do some more to make y'all suffer, because I'm not great at tutorials. In my defense, tutorials are really, really hard to plan, because it's like, I'll be planning it and writing out what I want to do, and then halfway through it, I'll realize that, oh shoot, I forgot this and this and this, and then I'll like try and ramble about it. And by the way, this was all unscripted, and can you tell at all? Because like, it's really obvious, because I'm super rambly, and if I don't script stuff, then I talk like this, and this is why I script everything. And I'm rambling really badly. So you know what? Check out the links in the description. Redbubble is my shop. I have mugs and shirts and stickers and all kinds of cool stuff that you can check out and support me by buying those things. Sending me your monies, please. This is like, some of these videos take forever, so it's always great when I can make some money from that to kind of help pay me back for the time that I spend doing this. Here I go again. A DeviantArt link will be in the description. Redbubble link will be in the description. DeviantArt's where you can check out the art that I do. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to comment, like the video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, because you all totally deserve it for being awesome.